What's up, guys? Welcome back to the JP and Trav show on the JP and Trav YouTube channel. Uh, as always, it's your host with the most, JP, and we are here on a Thursday. It's different. And again, as always, my esteemed co-host to the right of me, Travis J. Davidson. Travis, how you feeling, man?
Man, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. Got a little more packing to do. Got a little vacation tomorrow, and watching. I got OU gymnastics right in front of me. Had a big night last night, obviously, with your Oklahoma City Thunder finally making it at least one step closer to the playoffs. I spent all morning and all night last night arguing prefixes with the idiots that make up NBA Twitter. I was like, "Oh, it's the postseason." They're like, "No, it's not the playoffs." I said, It's not the playoffs. It's the postseason." I said, "It's not the postseason." I said, "Well, is it the season?" I said, "Well, no, but it's not the postseason." I said, "Post is a prefix. The prefix post means after.
Right.
So it is after the season. So it is post-season." And yeah, I mean, every 2 follower, 8 follower, you know, Dame Lillard and MVP Jan, like all these random NBA Twitter accounts, just like, man, you don't know ball. It's not the playoffs. I'm like, guys, why are we like, why are we so bad at English? Why do we not understand prefixes? Like, like this is bad. This is real bad. But yeah, other than that, everything is gravy, baby.
Yeah, you're on your walkathon, if that's what you want to call it, and doing well there, enjoying that. I'm over here actually, not swamped in work and little, spring's a little bit lighter for me at the AD season, and we've been going on our recruit spotlight journey the last month or so, which has been fun and great. We've had some great interviews. If you haven't got to check that out, make sure you do. But man, it's good to get back to talking some ball. And really, we haven't talked about the Sooners' spring and the spring they've had. Obviously, we know we have the spring game next Saturday, April 22nd. Make sure you guys pack the Palace. Be there
Yep.
for me. I would be there if I didn't have a scheduled softball tournament that I am hosting at my school. You see, this happens every year. Every time I place something on a weekend, it it always happens that for whatever reason, you choose that same weekend. So I had this scheduled, I don't know, in last June. We decided this is the day we're gonna do this tournament, whatever. They didn't come out with the spring game date until, what was it, January. So I already had it picked out. So it's not my fault. Y'all can't blame me. But go for me so you guys can enjoy that. And I'm sure Trav will be there and a lot of other people. So yeah, um, let's do that. So, without further
Trav
ado,
and Trav and Kyler, you know,
oh yeah,
Kyler will be there. Baker will
big
be there. I'm going to
big
his
K
big golf
one,
event the night before. So,
big
too
K
bad
one.
you're gonna be too busy picking apples or something.
Listen, I'll be busy shagging fly softballs. What I'll be doing, make sure you know, get anybody hurt. But apples not even out yet, so that's the fall. That's that fall stuff.
Yeah. Well, cool. Let's get in
Oh,
on it.
let's do it. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the spring depth chart. We'll talk some offense first in chat. We want you guys to chime in with us here. Just give us your opinions. We'll start with the most important position in football, the quarterback position. Most people would say. So let's start in that room. Obviously, we know who we have in Dylan Gabriel, and obviously behind him in Jackson Arnold. Obviously, most people are going to tell you those are the two everybody's paying attention to, which they wouldn't be wrong. Looking for Dylan Gabriel to have a strong second year. Obviously, already knows the system well, but just hearing reports, he looks comfortable. And everything like that. He didn't have a bad year last year, despite what people will tell you. He had a solid year. but he definitely didn't have the year that you say, "Oh man, like, he's Heisman type of, Heisman caliber quarterback." And I think he has the potential to do that, truthfully, within the offense and everything that's set up for him. So that's how I feel about DG. Obviously, we know he's the guy, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt. But if he does, we're hoping that we'll be able to have Jackson Arnold behind him, and that cat is different, different. All every bit of 5 star. And obviously he's young and still has a lot to learn. But man, you just can't help but salivate over the talent. So that's my 2 cents on it, man. Trav, how do you feel about the quarterback room?
Yeah, I mean, I think the quarterback room, specifically the depth with Jackson Arnold being there, it's going to open up the quarterback run game more than anything. I think Dylan, his second year in the system, because keep in mind, like, I think what a lot of people don't understand is yes, Dylan Gabriel, great, I'm already saying it. Dylan Gabriel played under Levy at UCF, but then Levy left to go to Ole Miss, and Dylan played in another offense. So it's not like Dylan went from Levy to Levy. He
Right.
went from Levy to a different offense back to Levy.
Hmm.
So he had a full blown whole offense that he had to brush up on and then teach every single person about it. So really, really excited for year two of him kind of shaking off the cobwebs a little bit even more, and having all of his receivers be in the second year of the system, have his offensive linemen be in the second year of the system, all that kind of stuff. Like that kind of stuff matters so incredibly much. So having him there, having the quarterback run game dialed up a little bit, um, I think we're set, man. I think we're really well set at quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's not to mention the recruits we've had right lately. One Michael that committed last weekend. You were at that commitment, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
And then we have obviously Kevin Sperry, who committed a couple of weeks ago, and so you really have to like where the quarterback room is headed for the future. I know everybody wanted to say outside Norman, Oklahoma. You guys lost Lincoln Riley. You guys are not going to be able to recruit quarterbacks anymore. And while obviously Lincoln Riley is great at what he does with quarterbacks. That's proven, right, for the most part. Um, to say that we lost somebody like that and really have not taken that steep of a step down is I think pretty cool to say. And I think Jeff Levy has proved his mettle in terms of recruiting. Obviously, we'll see what Jackson Arnold looks like in terms of like, okay, this is a Levy quarterback he recruited, everything like that. And as these continue to go on, but I mean, again, we're getting highly rated 4 stars and 5 stars. Kevin Sperry may be every bit of 5 star, and maybe even Michael Hawkins by the time it's said and done.
Yeah, and I think what's important is these aren't like Lincoln Riley's guys were Lincoln Riley's guys, right? Like he would get the 5 stars certainly, but when Lincoln Riley leaves, guess who leaves with him? Caleb Williams does, right? If and when Jeff Levy leaves, which he will eventually, certainly Jackson will still be on campus at the time. Obviously, Michael Hawkins will still be in the class. And then you'll have Kevin Sperry, depending on when it happens, committed at the time. They're committing to Oklahoma. They're committing to Brent Venables. They're committing to Norman. They're committing to that program in and of itself. They're not just mercenaries, really. I mean, I know all football players to a certain extent are those mercenaries, right? They're not, you know, guys aren't coming to school, all of them, because they just are in love with the university. But these three quarterbacks, I truly believe that they do. So with that, you don't have to worry about them leaving when Levy takes a head coaching gig. And I think that's just incredibly important. So obviously having those three guys, Sperry, I've got to see throw multiple times now with C4.
Yeah.
Dude is so good. I mean, and he gets to be a peer recruiter, man. That C4 squad's got 4 other dudes with OU offers on them. Obviously, Trine, Tristan Haynes, Zadavian Sims, Kenyon Kelly. Got a lot of guys in that Texoma area, and he'll continue to work on Peyton Pierce. Believe me when I say that. He's going to work on, um, you know, Bennett Warren, who was on our show.
Yep.
He's going to continue to work on him. So, lots of things to like about quarterback. I mean, we're theoretically set up through like 2029, something like that. Whenever you're talking about quarterback position, like 2029.
Yeah.
That's absurd. I'm gonna be 40. Jeez, gonna be a four. Oh man, I'm gonna have an existential crisis here on the pod. But yeah, quarterback position is locked in stone, baby.
Yeah. Yep. No, you're man, you're absolutely right. It's exciting to see where we're at with that. And yeah, this year we're looking for big things from that position, obviously, and more consistency. So hey guys, remember hit that like button. Make sure you share too. Let people know that we're in here. Appreciate those of you who are in here already. Again, doesn't take that long. If you hit that like button, helps us with the YouTube algorithm. So please do that for us before you head out tonight. All right, let's go ahead and move to the backfield, running back position. Um, Now this one, right? I mean, most people would say Javante Bond felt like is going to be kind of, the guy, but we know he's been injured in spring, and so you have Sawchuck, you have Caleb Hicks who's been making waves allegedly. You also obviously have Marcus Major who's there. You got Tawee Walker, um, and am I missing anybody else? I know Meg was hurt too, but I
Yeah, we're
think
really
that
banged up, to be honest. Really banged up.
yeah, yeah,
It's tough because obviously Javante Barnes is in line to be RB1. I don't think that changes much. He's going to miss the rest of spring, but it was just cleaning up something on his foot.
yeah,
So he's going to be fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So we've got that. We've obviously, like you said, got the talented freshman Dalen Smothers, or Hollywood Smothers, if you will. Caleb Hicks already. The cliche of a kid doesn't look like a freshman, because he doesn't. He's looked very good. So um, Gavin Sawchuk, I think we're looking at an RB1, RB1B situation. I think it's going to be a thunder and lightning type approach. I think those guys probably finish with carries within, I don't know, 20 carries of each other by the end of the year. Like, I truly think it'll be that close of a split.
yeah,
So when you add that, and then you add the talented freshman running backs, we'll see about Marcus Major. But you add the talented freshman running backs to that, and then add Dylan to the mix. I'm not going to say he's going to rush nearly as much as like Jalen did that one year, where he carried the ball like, you know 35 times a game. It felt like. Not going to be one of those situations, but Dylan will see his carries increase. Simple as that. So, um, really, really excited about the run game. I think the addition of Seth Luttrell, I know that's not a depth chart thing, but I keep saying it. The addition of Seth Luttrell to this staff, I mean, him being back with Beadenbow, man, that's such a big deal. He coached
yeah.
running backs. He was a co-offensive coordinator with Bill Beadenbow. They're close friends. They're brother-in-laws. Like, they're brothers through marriage. Like, it's gonna do great things. You got DeMarco, Seth Luttrell, and Bill Beadenbow and Jeff Lebby tackling that run game. Music to my ears, my friend. Music to my ears.
Beautiful.
Chef's
Chef,
kiss.
chef
Chef's
kiss,
kiss.
chef's kiss. No, absolutely, and we got a taste of what running back room of Gavin Sawchuk and Javante Barnes looks like against Florida State in the Cheez-It Bowl. I mean, they both looked really good, and with another spring and summer under their belt, and hopefully again them staying healthy, and then what we've heard about Caleb Hicks, which again you can look the part early in spring as far as running the ball and toting the rock, which is good. But you don't factor in the offense or pass protection into that too. So it's like at the same time, do we feel like he may be that good enough to get on the field? Obviously, we leave that to Demarco, but it's still good to know you have backs of that caliber, three of them, and then you have Dalen Smothers coming as well later. So
Yeah. What's important is, and I'm glad you brought that up, but what's important with Caleb Hicks and that body, the reason that like we didn't see Gavin Sawchuk early in the year is because when he came in, keep in mind he wasn't an early enrollee. When he came in, he was slight, right? This was a sprinter's body. He was
mhm,
like Olympic level 60-meter guy. Like they needed to put weight on him because they're not worried about the durability, but they're worried about the pass protection, right? They're worried about him picking up the blitz. And Javante Barnes, that's why he got looks early because he had the size to really, take on those blocks. Obviously, Sawchuk, was able to put on some weight so he could take those blocks on.
mhm.
Obviously later in the year, but that's what's nice about Caleb Hicks is Caleb Hicks is already put on that weight and put on that muscle that Schmidt wanted him to put on to where you're going to be able to see him because he's going to be able to hold his own in pass protection. And DeMarco will not put you in the backfield, will not put you on the field, will not give you minutes if you can't pass protect.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Speaking of that, really quick, I saw somebody a couple weeks ago say, I think it was a Texas fan, random Texas fan that was trying to talk down DeMarco Murray. He said, "Well, he couldn't. He doesn't know how to coach running backs. He couldn't really pass block for the Cowboys." And I was like, "What? What are we talking about, dog? Like, go do some research." Oh man. All right, let's
It's,
move
it's
on.
just so silly. So silly.
Very, very. Let's
But
let's
but they're caught up in the rankings, man. Like Jarrett Gibson, like he wants to be a Sooner. He's number one ranked back in
mm,
the country, and
mm,
DeMarco will not offer him. And yet, Texas fans, they don't care. They're all about brand, right? They're all
yeah,
about that big Longhorn, a big star, right? Everything's about the big brand. So they want the number one back. They don't care if he's not the best back in the country, as long as they're able to brag about picking up the number one back. Like that's all they care about. The fact that DeMarco looks at that says, "That's not my number one back. I don't. I want somebody else. He's not even in my top two." Then it's really saying something. So I trust DeMarco pretty wholeheartedly. I think y'all should too.
oh, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Let's move over to tight end room. Now, this is a room that we are razor thin at due to some injuries. Obviously, thank God we got Big Stog back in the building. From South Carolina came back home to Oklahoma. And so, man, that's going to be so big for Dylan Gabriel to have a guy like that after B. Willie left to go to the draft. Obviously, again, also starting back is huge. And then you just have a lot of unknowns at that position. You got Caden Helms. Um, you got Blake Smith. You also have one other tight end that I am just blanking on. I know we have another one, another young one. Um,
So we've got Jason Llewellyn, Blake Smith, Cade
Llewellyn.
McIntyre.
Llewellyn,
Yep.
that's the one I was missing. Kay McIntyre will be here in the summer. That's right. But again,
Yeah.
you got that
With Stogner.
did we confirm that?
Sorry, you either I was breaking up or you were breaking up. Say that again.
I said, did we confirm that Cade is just going to be tight end? Because I know we had him on the show a little bit ago. Sound like it was either linebacker or defense or tight end, kind of depending on what they felt they would put him at. But
I think he'll be tight end. I think with his body type, he's so big. Like his dad owns a gym, and he's yoked. When I talked to him in Nebraska, when I first met him in person,
mhm.
this dude was mad that he kept on getting taller because he couldn't get ripped. And he was like, "Man, this is ridiculous." Y'all have seen pictures of his dad. Like this dude, I guarantee you, this dude's doing curls right now, like as we're speaking. So with that, it's like you need to like the body transformation for Caden Helms took a little bit longer. Obviously, dealt with a little bit of an injury. Um, no, Richard, he's not quite big enough to go to the offensive line. He's not that tall. I mean, he's tall, but he's not tall enough to move to the offensive line. And nor do we want him to. Like, yes, he did, but like Logan Howland is a guy that started at tight end in high school and played 1 year of offensive tackle and shot up to a 4-star immediately. So, like that kind of stuff. Like Lane started QB and then tight end, and then that was the famous question of, "Hey, Schmitty, what would it take for you to make him a offensive lineman?" And he was like, "Couple cheeseburgers in 2 weeks," or whatever he said. Um, but yeah, regardless, Cade will be a tight end. That room, obviously, heavy, heavy, heavy Stogner. I know a lot of people think. Um, I know a lot of people think, well, we should have taken Malachi Coleman and this. Like, I mean, yeah, we probably should have taken him anyways. But the current the current situation doesn't mean that we should have, because his body was not going to be ready. Malachi was going to be 2 or 3 years away from being ready to play tight end in the SEC. So, or even in the Big 12. So Stogner's going to get a lot of looks. I don't expect him to play that much in spring game. I think he might get up 2 possessions maybe. I
Yeah.
know he's kind of on a pitch count now. You need to keep him healthy so he can run in the offense, because like Blake Smith's back, but he's in a club because he hurt his hand. So it's like you need people to run through the offense. You need people to be able to walk through your game plan. So
Yeah.
Stogner's it. We just need him to stay healthy. Hopefully, Caden Helms can get back quickly. He can kind of act as that like jumbo wide receiver, which is kind of what he played at Bellevue West, anyways.
Right.
And
Yep.
Richard, tight end is a feature when you have a tight end that can be featured in like intermediate stuff. Like Braden Willis is probably a better football player than um, Austin Stogner, but Austin Stogner is a better tight end than Braden Willis, if that makes sense. And yes,
Yeah.
Caden got injured. Caden was in a boot. So
Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and move down the offensive line, starting with right tackle. Um, Tyler Guyton's got that locked up. I mean, a lot of people feel like he might be the best player on the team, just in totality. Like
well, we
he,
heard that a lot last year. We just said he's such an athlete.
yeah,
He's got all the tools. But
yeah,
last year, I mean, when you've got Wanye and Anton, it's like,
yep,
I mean, and Tattoo. This is an old injury. He's been in a boot for like months, so he'll be out of it soon. So he's coming back. He'll be back. He'll be back. He's missing the spring game, obviously, but he'll be back soon. Don't worry about it. So, but that's why we're so thin. But yeah, with Guyton, he just needed to wait his turn. It's his turn now, so now he's got to shine. I mean, he's got that right tackle with a lefty quarterback becomes the ever more important position, right?
yep,
Everybody wants to play left tackle, but it's just because there's not a lot of lefties. But we got one, so Guyton is going to be the guy on that right side.
yep. And man, like you said, he's got the frame, and if he starts to get it, play physically, yeah, that cat can do some things. He looked good against Florida State, against a really good defensive line. So looking forward to what we have going there. Um, I'm assuming at the guard positions, most people think is going to be Bird, and is it Matower probably? I would assume that are
Man,
going
it's
to
gonna
be
it,
there,
it's gonna be
or is it Jake Taylor? But he's hurt.
Matire.
Right?
It's gonna be Sexton's hurt.
Sexton. Yeah, he's the one that tore his.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sexton's hurt. So it's basically you've got four really good guards right now. You've
Yep.
got Caleb Schaefer, obviously, that came over from Miami of Ohio, that
Yep.
started a ton of games. He's going to be very good. I kind of like by the end of the season, probably Caleb Schaefer and Savion Byrd being your two starters, if not
Yeah.
Jake Taylor and Savion Byrd being your starters. I could see Metallier starting early in the year just to get a bit of experience in there, at least in this system. Obviously, Caleb Schaefer has plenty of experience, but I think I think I think you're really well set up at guard. I just give the early edges to um, Metallier and Savion Byrd, with Caleb Schaefer probably supplanting Metallier at some point. Um, Center is next, of course. Andrew Rain is the incumbent.
Mhm.
He, had surgery, so been working through that. Obviously, we're very well set up with Joshua Bates.
Yeah.
Luckily, Joshua Bates is a absolute dog. Um, he's the number one center in the country in the 2023 class. He was also the longest tenured commit. He was, of course, a Lincoln commit, the only one that stayed
Yep.
up from Colorado. He was the the first commit to reach out, first player to reach out to Jeff Levy, because he was watching his Ole Miss film and said, "Hey, I've been watching your Miss film. I'm your center commit." And he wanted to ask him about some questions he had about the offense. Like, the dude wants to be in there, wants to soak stuff up. Um, yeah, Josh
That's what
Bates is
you
a
like to
stud. Keep in
hear.
mind, Andrew Rain played left tackle in high school because he
Yeah.
was the best offensive lineman that Broken Arrow had on that state championship team. So he moved to center. When you go up a level, you often move in, right? So, like, Chris Murray is seen, even though he played right guard for 3 years, he's seen as a center in the NFL. So it's all those offensive line positions, man. You move them around a lot, but yeah, center should be good to go there. Wouldn't mind seeing some Joshua Bates this year.
For sure. Absolutely. I love hearing. I didn't know that though, that he reached out to Levy. You love hearing stuff like that. You have a guy
Yep,
that's steady on tape and says, "Yo, coach."
he's the real
Yeah.
deal, man.
And then
Really
left
good.
tackle, obviously, we hit that a little bit, but we got is it Rouse or Roos? I'm gonna make sure I say it right.
Rouse. Walter Rouse. Walter Rouse.
Rouse.
So you've got
That's from Stanford.
and it's going to be tough because when Jake Sexton gets back, that was his
Yep.
position really to lose, right? I mean, he was going to be the starter next year. Obviously, that caused us to go get Walter Rouse.
Yep.
Um, so it's just good quality depth. I see, I really see, like, if worse comes to worse, I think that Walter starts this year and maybe Jake. I mean, if there's an injury or something, Jake can step in. But Jake, I mean, he's going to have a couple years of very high level, like, left tackle play before he goes off to
Mhm.
the league. So that guy being a 2022 guy, if he can retain an extra year, maybe something like that, like, we'll see. But I think you want to keep your younger guys, like, if given the option, play the older guy with more experience. Worst case
Yeah.
scenario, the older guy leaves to the NFL after this year, and then it's really Sexton's job.
Yeah. Then you got him kind of set up. I agree. I agree. Jake Sexton looked good until he got hurt. Um, you know, if
Yeah,
they
he's
trust
he's
him
going to be
again.
awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um. Oh, yeah, and I will say I was just listening to Oklahoma Breakdown the other day, and Gabe was talking about how the offensive line just looks different. Obviously that doesn't take into account mental stuff, but they just look bigger. Kind of what you want your offensive line to look like in a way. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do this year. Obviously, we know Coach B is that dude. We're not worried about what he's going to do. Sometimes take a little bit of gel, but that's part of it. All right, moving to the wide receiver room. We got Drake Stoops coming back. We have Jalil Farouk coming back. Those are the two known commodities, really, in the wide receiver room. But then you got, a bunch of young cats, foreign transfers, Bunkley Shelton. You got Andrew Anthony that just came in. And then you got DJ Graham who moved over. You got Gavin Freeman, who's young buck but is making waves. You got Jaden Gibson, who everybody always salivates over. JJ Hester, obviously another transfer that we didn't get to see too much of last year, and then Nick Anderson, who's another guy that people really are talking up. So let's just do it by we're gonna do it by position like X, Z, and Y necessarily. We can just I guess say, Trav, what are you expecting from the room this year?
Well, I am probably I don't know. I've got some hot takes. I'm going to fire off.
Okay, we're ready.
So I think I think we have a lot of talent in that room. We have a lot of upside. I don't think OU is going to put their best foot forward if they have 6'4", 209 JJ Hester, 6'4", 202 Nick Anderson, LV Bunkley Shelton, one of the best route runners on the team, tough as nails, speed demon, Andrell Anthony, speed demon, big play, take the top off the defense. Let's just start with those guys. I don't think OU is putting their best foot forward by having those four guys try and compete for one spot.
Mm,
I think you have multiple starters in that grouping. I think our best foot forward as an offense, if we're just taking the a three receiver set, I think that on one side you have Nick Anderson, on one side you have JJ Hester, and then you put LV Bunkley Shelton in the slot. That's what I think. I think even if you were to get maybe a Brennan Thompson who runs a
mm,
10-200, like even if you were to get a guy like that, put him in the slot. I just think that when you look around, and again, it's a hot take. I get it. When you look around at the best wide receivers in the country, or the best wide receiving cores in the country, they have multiple NFL guys there. You look at Alabama; you got first rounders all over the wide receiver core.
yeah.
You look at, I mean, Tennessee with the Bolitnikov, right?
Yep.
You look at TCU last year. You look at
Yeah.
TCU last year. Which of our receivers outside of Mims last year that got a ton of playing time would have started for TCU? Just saying. Like I said, I know it's hot, but I think after last year, I don't think anybody's starting position should be a guaranteed lock.
Yeah. No.
And with Farouk, I love me some Farouk because I love a guy that's that hard to tackle, that runs as hard as he does. But the thing is, he doesn't get open very easily, and that's part like he gets open, but he doesn't get open like Mims got open. He didn't get open like DD got open. He didn't get open like CD got open. Didn't get open like Hollywood got open. Didn't get open like Broyles got open. And if you're wide receiver one at University of Oklahoma, you need to be able to get open whenever you want. Like get open at will. As far as the size, he doesn't have elite size, doesn't have absolutely elite, straight line speed, but that's why they get him the ball in quick quick passes. They hand the ball off to him, things like that. Like, yeah, we'll have to, no doubt. But like, that's why they that's why they have to get the ball to him in creative ways. So I don't
Yeah,
know. I think that if you I think that a place like OU should have multiple NFL wide receivers starting in the same wide receiver core. And I'm not talking seventh round. I'm not talking sixth round. I'm talking dudes that can go out and put fear into the guy that's having to defend them.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree, and I would hope, right, that the staff sees that Levy sees that Emmett Jones, now that we have a wide receiver coach that we hired, sees that, and kind of has that input into it. So we'll just have to see what it looks like. As you said, there's a lot of talent in the room, and for us to go out and do what we want to do, man, we got to make sure they can get on the field, and that they can utilize their talents to the best of their ability, maximize wherever that's going to be. Like you said, Farouk in the slot. Maybe it's a thing where Stoops is on the field all the time, but certainly, if you pair him with a speed demon like Anthony or like Bunkley Shelton, then Stoops has shown he can get open underneath. But again, it just depends on
Yeah.
what the
Well,
packaging
especially
is.
like
Yeah,
third downs, fourth downs, something like that. Like, yeah, Stoops is your clutch receiver. Like,
absolutely,
if you need a tough catch, underneath, you need him to dive for something. You needed him to catch some contact across the middle. He might be the answer to kind of the intermediate passing game that everybody's been wanting to see. But I mean, it's yeah. Like I said, situationally, absolutely. But I would love for I would love to get better at wide receiver. I would love to see our wide receivers consistently get open.
yeah, agreed, man. Couldn't agree more. All right, hey, let's move on to the defensive side of the ball, and in years past, obviously, with what we had before, or person we had before, we're always excited to talk offense, and we never really had anything to really be excited about all the time on defense. But man, this year I just feel like there's so much to be excited about on defense. From
Yeah,
people we have returning to the class we just signed with a bunch of dudes in it, and obviously not to mention some of the dudes that were true freshmen last year that we liked. So do you want to start in the defensive backfield, Trav? You want to start on the line?
up to you, man.
Let's start in the defensive backfield then. Let's look at the corners and safeties. So one might say the safety position is as deep as it's ever been. Since at least the last few years or so, right? I mean, looking at Reggie Pearson, Peyton Bowen, Billy Bowman, Key Lawrence. You got Damon Harmon, Robert Spears Jennings. You got Trey Morrison still. I mean, there's a lot of talent in that room, and I think there's a lot of people pushing each other. Obviously, Billy's the leader of that room, undisputed. And then you have Reggie Pearson that transferred in, and Keith Lawrence as well as Peyton Bowen, the 5-star. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that When's the last time I guess you would think, Trav, that we had this much talent at the safety position? Tony Jefferson?
Probably almost a decade, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah,
Almost a decade. I
which is
mean,
crazy.
but that's the thing, and it's good competition. I mean, I really like that they weren't afraid to bring Reggie Pearson in. I think. I mean, I think that was big time. He's played a lot of big time college football. Obviously, he's a headhunter, as we saw. He's a big hitter, um, And RSJ, I was talking to him earlier today. RSJ, when he got on campus, was 195 pounds. He is now 215, and he is straight muscle. That dude obviously had a little bit. He had an elective surgery, something that had been bothering him all throughout last year or whatnot. They were like, "Oh, we can maybe get through it without surgery," but they opted for it. It was everything went fine. Like I said, talk to him; he's good. Like it's not something that's going to linger or anything like that. So he'll be in good shape. I mean, you can have some packages, and with Justin Harrington, like with Justin Harrington showing out at Cheetah so much, and apparently he's just been incredible at Cheetah in practice. Him showing out at Cheetah, you've obviously got Deshaun McCullough out there who's got all the
Yep.
physical gifts you could ever ask for.
Yep.
But Peyton Bowen, we'll see how quickly Peyton Bowen kind of, you know, catches on to things. Apparently, he's like a football savant, which is part of the reason he's a 5-star, I'm sure. But I mean, you just got dudes everywhere, man. And when you look back there and realize that guys like Peyton Bowen and RSJ might not even play that much because
Right.
you got Pearson, Key Lawrence, Demont. I mean, I think I would play RSJ over Demont Harmon personally.
Yeah.
Personally, I would play RSJ over Key Lawrence for sure. But
Mhm.
I've just got a lot of faith in RSJ. Every time he was in, he was putting a lick on a dude, man. He
That's
was
a fact.
like that dude was definition of hit stick. So um, the sipping sooner, we are talking safeties. Kendall Dolby, he'll be fighting for that corner spot opposite Woody Washington with
There you
Gentry
go.
Williams. So,
And that's where we're
but
going
yeah,
next.
yeah. Well, let's go there.
Talking about the cornerback position, I mean, I think we all know Woody's got that one spot locked down, but then the other side, right? Is it Jaden? Is it Kanai Walker? Is it Gentry? Obviously, as we all know, Gentry's been dealing with recovering ever since that, and thank God he's okay. But do we see Dobie over there as well? What do you think? Who do you think locks that other position up?
Dolby is a stud. There's no doubt about it. But I think Gentry just provides you with a second year in the system, which is important. Second year in the system. He gets his head around. We saw that last year. He gets his head
Yeah.
around, which is seemingly impossible for corners over the last decade, but gets his head around. He's got elite speed, like elite track speed.
Mm,
He actually had to choose between track or football, growing up. I mean, not even growing up. Like, I'm talking like he was running with national, like,
yeah.
junior Olympic type teams. Um, he's long, he's tall. I mean, when you look at just the size, um, you've got Gentry at 6 foot. I mean, 6 foot corner. Like, I'll take that. Obviously, Kendall Dolby is just 5'11", but not too much of a difference there. But I mean, Gentry, and I stand next to Gentry. I'm 6'2". I feel like he's bigger than 6 foot. I don't know, but regardless, one of the things, and I'm not saying Kendall doesn't do this, but one of the things about Gentry is you see him on a lot of those above the standard, GPA or classroom graphics, and he stays out of trouble. So you saw him at the 3.0 and above dinner that they did. You saw him there. I mean, that's one thing that Valai talks about. He's like, if you screw up off the field, you won't play. If you're not getting good grades, you won't play. My
Yep.
job is not to babysit those two things. My job is to teach you how to play football and get to the league. And that's why he loves Gentry so much, because he's about his business.
Yeah. And hey, I know some people were kind of iffy on Valai when we got him from Bama just because of history and whatnot. But man, I feel like he's been on it, especially in recruiting.
Well, Veli just needed to stay somewhere. That's the
Yep.
thing. I mean, he's been bouncing around doing all this, and it's like, okay, you're Texas for a year, Alabama for a year, all this, but he likes OU a lot, and I think he understands the value in staying with the Venables defense for a long time. And it's easier to recruit to a Venables defense as a defensive coach, like as a defensive position coach.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he loves it. He's going to keep doing what he's doing, and with that, he's already got 2025 corner lock. I mean, not locked up, but Malik Hawkins will be a Sooner. You got Eli Bowen, who is a 4-star according to 247. This isn't just a little brother thing. And Peyton Bowen, even though he's at OU, there are teams that are still after Eli Bowen heavy. So don't think this is a charity offer. So, but he's got corners out the wazoo. Now, when you talk about who's going to be on the two deep opposite or like behind Woody,
Yeah.
that's where it could get interesting because you're going to look at guys like Makari Vickers, Josiah Wagner,
Yep.
Kanai
Oh,
Walker. Those are really the three. Those are the three that I really look for over there to be kind of the next. Like once Woody's gone, like that's what I expect. But Larry
yeah.
brings up that Baby Bowen is tiny. Don't need any tiny DBs. Well, Larry, the Jim Thorpe Award winner last year was an inch shorter than what Baby Bowen is. So if you can play, you can play.
You
So
can
the
if
Jim
you
Thorpe
can
Award
play,
winner to
you can play.
best defensive back in the entire country was shorter than what Eli Bowen was as a junior in high school. So if you can play, you can play. And I know a lot of us. I know a lot of us have PTSD, with those Oompa Loompa DBs back there, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
And guess what? If he doesn't, ball out, he doesn't ball out. We're deep there. So it is what
Yeah.
it is.
I was gonna say the way that people have been talking about Josiah Wagner, I'm not. I don't know if he don't push for some time this year with the way they've
He
been
will.
talking about him.
He'll push for time this year, no doubt. I don't. I mean, I don't know. I hope he never has to start because that means we've seen some injuries.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. For sure.
I could totally see. Here's the thing, and we didn't talk about it with the wide receivers, but I want to talk about it now. When Andrew Anthony got finished with practice the other day, he talked about JJ and LVBS have really been helping me, like quizzing me on routes. They meet with me after practice and make sure that I know what I'm doing, like all that kind of stuff. Like they're basically tutors, right? They're football tutors. These are two guys that didn't play a lot last year, and they are willing to come in on their downtime and help out a guy that is there to take minutes from them,
Yeah.
to take routes from them.
Yeah.
And they get there and they help them out. But what's cool about that, and what I really like, and what I think will eventually lead to more true freshmen playing a lot more, is when JJ Hester and LV Bunkley Shelton got there last year. JP, who helped them after practice learn the routes?
Nobody, because they was trying to learn it themselves.
Yeah, nobody knew. Nobody knew the offense.
Yeah.
So this year, you get these true freshmen coming in, and all of a sudden they got 50 dudes that can teach them. And even in their position group, they've got 3, 4, 5 people in their position group that can help them out with stuff. I mean, that's immeasurable. You're going from having one teacher with one teaching assistant, being Levy and Dylan Gabriel, to a whole staff that knows the offense and an army of teaching assistants, aka the rest of your teammates.
Yeah.
And it just comes different. Like it hits different when it comes from your peers, your teammates.
Yeah.
So that's why I think a lot of these true freshmen, like you look at a Josiah Wagner or Makari Vickers, like they can learn from Woody, Gentry, Kanai, like all these guys. Like they've been in the defense. They know it. They can teach it to you. So
Mm.
I am I'm a big believer in true freshmen playing a lot more this year simply because they're going to be so much farther along than last year's freshmen were. And I know
Yep.
people want to say, well, Kanik had 10 tackles against Nebraska. He still didn't know what he was doing.
Didn't know what he was doing.
So that's just a testament to his talent that he was able to do that. It also says Nebraska they'd hung it up in the second half. They were done.
Yep. They're
So
done. Finished. Finished. Speaking of Jaron Kinnick, let's go over to the linebacker room, man. Um, this is a room, that was much maligned last year. Obviously, we know Danny Stutzman had led the Big 12 in tackles, everything like that. But BP expects a lot out of his linebackers. That's his group, and so he puts a lot on them. And Danny going into his third year and second year with BV, looks to obviously be that guy at the will position. The bigger piece in question is who's going to be Mike, and that's a big position in the defense, and you're going to have a new guy there, whether it's going to be Kanek or Kobe, whoever. What are you thinking?
well, I don't think we should just hand the starting position to Jaron Kanek just yet because
Right,
Kobe McKenzie is making a strong push for it.
he's
When I say
coming
strong push, I'm also saying that boy is strong. He
strong.
is going to hit people hard. He's a real, more traditional linebacker. He came in with, a little slow, a little heavy. He's really leaned out, but he's ripped. I mean, absolutely ripped. So looks like an NFL type body. You knew that when he came in, he had that big linebacker neck. I mean, just like out to
Yep,
here. So you knew that he had the physical potential to kind of grow into that. But um, obviously, you're going to no. So the when we're talking about starting, and just reading some of the comments,
yeah,
we're gonna have a cheetah. So Justin Arrington and Deshaun McCullough will be the starting cheetah. That means we will have the Will linebacker, which will be Stutzman, and the Mike linebacker, which will be Kobe or Kanik or Shane Witter or what have you.
yep,
Now, if for some reason Justin Harrington balls out of control and they want Deshaun McCullough still on the field, they could put him at Mike. But yeah, it's no it the Mike linebacker is between Kanik and Kobe. You have Mike, Will, Sam. The Sam linebacker is just another name for cheetah.
yep,
So Sam linebacker means cheetah. He's like a Sam linebacker safety hybrid. And then Will is going to be Danny. Mike is going to be Jaron or Kobe.
yep,
I like. I don't know. I like what Kobe's doing. Jaron's got all the speed. Kobe's got all the power. So you lose a little bit with each of them, but you gain, an elite trait with each of them. I just know the defense will be much improved simply because Danny is
yeah.
going to be in his second year as a starter, going to have more control in the defense. He's going to be able to play much faster. That's important. That's important.
Yeah. And that linebacker room, we got a lot of young talent coming in as well. You have Phil Picchiotti, or excuse me, Picciotti, who's already there. You're going to have Samuel Shamigo, who's coming in the summer as well. And then, we're just going to be a lot better at that position, a lot deeper than we have been in years past. I'm not thinking, Venables is making making sure of that for sure. So it's gonna be interesting to see who
Yeah,
wins that Mike spot.
part, part of it is the depth, right? Because it's like last year and even this year we talked about what
Yep.
are these team what's this team's biggest problem, right? The team's biggest problem last year was depth and experience. So those both of those things get better too, right? So you get depth, obviously, with guys like Lewis Carter, guys like Sammy Amasigo coming in, guys like Shane Witter being healthy, Kobe being better. Kip needs to eat some cheeseburgers.
Needs to
Kip's
eat some.
real he's lighting the britches right now. We need to get Kip a couple tomahawks down there. So,
Facts.
um, but with that, it's experience. So sure, depth, absolutely. Experience, I can't. It can't be overstated. Part of the problem with our linebackers taking so many snaps last year is because they couldn't get off the field. Like
Yep.
we had, like I'm pretty sure like White, Uwebu, and Stutzman were like the top three in the Big 12 in defensive snaps. It might have been top three in the country. I think Stutzman might have been top three in the country. The problem is it's because they couldn't get off the field. Not it was twice as bad because usually if you can't get off the field, it'll drain your energy down, and then you can put a backup in that might not be as good as you are, but at least he's now above where you are.
Right.
Well, if you can start up here and now you get off the field here, okay, now you get off the field. Boom. Okay, now you get off the field. You're not on the field for, you know, 18 plays, in a single drive. You know what I mean? Like it's just not the same. So we've got the
Right.
depth, of course, but the experience matters so much. Both of those things had to get better. I do think both of those things did get better. So, yeah, Lewis Carter and Samuel Masigo both. I know a lot of people very, very excited about Lewis Carter. He's a big hitter, a little bit lighter. I think it's going to personally, I just think it's going to take him a little bit of time to get ready to play linebacker at this level physically. Whereas I think Sammy Masigo is ready now. That guy shot up the rankings, ended up being the highest ranked, linebackers in the entire class. Um, and I think Sammy is going to be physically ready slightly before Lewis Carter will, but Lewis Carter's got all the talent in the world. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't, I would not be surprised. But as we see OU moving on to the national championships that will be played on Saturday.
So,
So it'll be Florida,
Louisiana.
Oklahoma, LSU, and Utah in the national championship on Saturday. No, Sammy, I think Sammy's actually a little bit. Let me check real quick. Hold on. I would say that might be the case.
I think that's the best thing, right? Is that as we talked about last year with the defense, as you alluded to, man, when they're out there so long and we didn't have the depth we needed, no wonder some of these busts are happening and they're getting tired. I mean, it's almost like what do you expect? And so knowing that we'll have more depth, more talent this year is pretty cool, um, and just really interested to see what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's move on to the defensive line as we're wrapping the show up here. Man, the
Nine
defensive
minutes.
line
Wow.
last year, I think we were, you know, expecting a little more. Obviously, it's the first year, right, and everything like that. But we had talent there, and hoping that they'd be able to make more of an impact than they did. And so this year, I know we're really looking to try to see who's going to step up. Obviously, you have the transfers in Devon Sears and Jacob Lacey and Rondo Bothroyd who came in, and obviously, excuse me, I can't talk today. Trace Ford as well. And so, when you are adding that many portals to your line, I think it says a little bit about the production that was there last year. And so, hopefully there's going to be a lot more competition, a lot more depth to be able to rotate and get guys in there that are going to be able to not have as big of a drop off. But On the right side, looks like we got Ethan Downs, and then we got a defensive tackle position, got Isaiah Coe, Jordan Kelly at nose tackle, and then on the traditional four, obviously if they put four down linemen, you probably have either Borthroyd or Ford on that other side. But I know we like to do 3-3-5 a little bit, so we'll be interested to see who they put in where. But what are your thoughts, man, on the defensive line?
Yeah, I think we overnight got loaded at edge with
Yeah,
our new additions.
yeah,
Obviously, Grimes and Ethan Downs return. Ethan Downs will not be moving inside. He will stay on the outside. Maybe situationally, he might stun inside, but he's going to stay on the outside. Jonah Laulu, of course, moving to the interior. Um, like you said, Isaiah Coe, Jacob Lacey. Jacob Lacey, according to Todd Bates, Clemson finished second in his recruitment when he ended up going to Notre Dame. That's why whenever he decided to grad transfer from Notre Dame, Todd Bates was the first person he called. He said, "I want to come play for
yeah,
you." Um, so he's good. Even Devon Sears, they say he's got to get a little better against the run, but he's getting to the quarterback really well. He's good at getting over tackles. So I think with the edges, we're just really stacked because you got Ethan Downs, the only guy coming back that was all conference last year, in a first
right,
year starting role. First year starting role ends up being second team All Big 12 and a captain. That's not something that they're gonna you know take lightly. But you've got
right.
Armason Thomas, who probably leads the team in sacks this year, and then you've got talent coming in and PJ Adebawore.
Whew.
I mean, I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but he's pretty good. And then you've got um, obviously Trace Ford. You got Rondell Bothroyd, who I believe was third or fourth in the ACC in win rate, pass rush win rate last year. So that's an NFL type guy.
Yep.
Trace Ford, when healthy, I started getting texts from OSU players whenever he committed. They're like, "That dude should never come off the field. He's going to be your best player on defense." I mean, like, and these are guys that played against OU defenses. So um, with that, I feel like we're just really set up. Obviously, Marcus Stripling, we'll see what he can do. This is kind of a make it or break it year for him. He is not moving to the inside. Kim Stripling is weighing 234 now, so he's actually lost about 11 pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe trying to get him in more of that, maybe like NASCAR package, if you will. Try and get him a little bit faster. But nose is going to be, Isaiah Coe. He's got really good size. Obviously, Jordan Kelly continues to get stronger and stronger, more comfortable with the calls. He's going to get some looks there. Look at a guy like Marcus Hicks. You know, got good weight to him. Played both sides of the ball. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get a little bit of love on the interior. So yeah, I mean, the defensive line should be much improved simply because of depth.
Yep.
Derek LeBlanc. I talked to some of the guys about the bowl practices. They said Derek LeBlanc he's ready, but again, that was bowl practice, and he was just
Yeah.
coming off of high school. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. As you said, man, so much depth you got, and you got our homie G Baby Grayson as well. Just a lot
Kelvin
of
Gilliam.
big
I mean,
big bodies, good talent in there, and that's the thing.
Kelvin Gilliam and Grayson Halton both should get some playing time this year. I mean, they will get playing time this year. I
Yeah.
mean, they've they've both matured physically, and it's their second year in the playbook. They'll be much better
Yeah. Absolutely.
on a different planet. Some might say.
Yeah. 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 And as Richard alluded to, man, if we can get a pass rush, man, that unlocks Venables' defense. That's the main portion of it. And too many times last year,
It's not
quarterbacks
only if
get
we can get a
sacked.
pass rush.
Yeah.
It's not only can we get a pass rush, can we keep contained as well? Because
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
times,
Yep.
mainly Grimes, if I'm being 100% honest with myself,
Mhm.
I I was blessed to be able to watch some of the games with some of the guys from like the '85 national championship team and whatnot. Like Boz and all these like defensive linemen, like watching the games with them is really cool. But man, it's stressful because they have certain standards, and OU's defense last year was not living up to them. So those
Oh,
defensive ends getting too far up the field and letting that quarterback just leak on out. The interior defensive linemen, we can blame that, not getting a pass rush, this, that, or the other. If you're letting them leak out, that's what happens. So part of that
yeah,
was we didn't get a lot of penetration from the inside to kind of not allow the quarterback to. So it's we just got to be better on the defensive line. But I have no reason to believe we won't be.
yep. I mean, we got the guys there. Top base knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? Chavis is high energy. So, yeah, man, I agree. I'm looking forward to seeing what everything looks like this year. And, the spring game should be fun. Obviously, again, take the spring game with a grain of salt. Not everything you see there means a bunch, but it doesn't mean nothing. So, you know, it'll be fun to watch. And, you guys make sure you go visibly and see it. I'm going to look at it on the TV screen on my phone while I'm watching a softball tournament. So, Trav, you got anything for the people,
Yeah.
man, before we head out?
Yes. I implore everybody, and I know we're going to do another show before the spring game, but this counts for spring practice as well.
Yep.
I need you to put a hands up emoji or just say yes if you remember the Jaden Gibson touchdown at the spring game. I will give you some time to do it. Do you remember the Jaden Gibson touchdown at the spring game? We got a 4 from Brandon. Got a yizzer. Okay. Everybody got that play ingrained in their head. Who can tell me what corner blew that coverage? And what quarterback threw the pass? What quarterback threw the pass? What corner blew the coverage? That was going to be tougher. Because PJ, you know why? Neither of them played. One of them's in the portal now. The other one entered the portal immediately after the spring game because he was so embarrassed. Nope, it was not Gentry Bevel. It was Micah Bowens to Dorian Plumley. Micah Bowens to Dorian Plumley.
I knew it was Michael
So,
Bowens who did it.
yep. So we've got some DG, some Evers, some Gentry, and Bevel. So we got Evers. So Micah Bowens completed it over Dorian Plumley for the 94-yard touchdown, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I say that to say this: do not overreact to spring practice, and do not overreact to spring games, because that throw alone had people saying Micah Bowens should have started at Texas. Now we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. They're saying, "Oh, Micah Bowens went in the portal. What are we doing?"
Yeah.
He still doesn't have a home, as far as I know. I mean, I wish the kid nothing but the best, but
Yep.
it's wouldn't be our best foot forward. With that, Dorian Plumley, the walk-on defensive back who entered the portal immediately after. That was seen as Jaden Gibson's break. Oh man, Jaden Gibson, he might start this year. We had people saying that Jaden Gibson was going to lead the team in receiving last year off of that play and that play alone. So, again, I say all that to say this: don't overreact. Consider context. Consider context. But that's all I got.
Absolutely. It's a fact. Don't want to overreact. These guys are out here making plays. A lot of the stuff is vanilla, so you're not seeing everything that you could see from them. They don't know everything yet. So yeah, couldn't agree more, man. And at the end of the day, it's for entertainment and be fun for the fans and to give the boys a chance to play in front of the greatest fans in college football, Sooner Nation.
Absolutely.
So
And as far as, I mean, we talked about a little bit earlier, we'll be doing next week's show on Thursday as well,
yep,
because I will be flying back in on Wednesday night. So Thursday is when we will do next show as well. You guys killed it in the chat. You guys were very, very active. We appreciate that. Um, so no, Brandon JP isn't going to make it to the spring game. He's scheduling conflict. But your boy Travis will be there doing radio pregame and postgame. So, yeah, we'll see you guys next week, next Thursday.
we absolutely will appreciate y'all, as he said. As always, Boomer. Oh.